These are the most emotional moments on football, starting with the game that changed Cristiano Ronaldo's life forever. In 2004, Portugal had just made it to the Euro Cup final, thanks to a header goal from Ronaldo himself. So, when the final began, no one was more confident about winning than Ronaldo. But from the start, Greece proved to be a tough opponent, and everything went wrong for the Portuguese team. Cristiano spent the entire first half trying to find an opportunity, but Greece's defense was tight, making any play impossible. The worst part happened in the second half, when the Greeks took advantage of the tired Portuguese players and scored. After that, with every passing minute, Portugal got more discouraged and further from the title. Except for Cristiano, of course. He fought until the end with all his strength, but it wasn't enough. In the end, the score was 1-0 for Greece. What moved the football world the most was Cristiano's reaction at the end of the game. He tried to hold it in, but ended up breaking down in tears along with more than 60,000 fans in the stadium. Let's be honest, no one worked harder than him in that game, and he deserved to score at least one goal. But his effort that day wasn't in vain. Since then, the Portuguese star has won 5 Ballon d'Or awards, and in 2016, he achieved his dream by winning the Euro Cup with Portugal. I'm sure that when he lifted that trophy, Cristiano remembered that young boy crying in the final against Greece and felt very proud of him. This was the day a tragedy stopped the football world. It all happened during a Denmark match in the Euro Cup in 2021. Everything was going very well until near the end on the first half, when Danish midfielder Eriksen shocked the whole world. He was running to get the ball and suddenly collapsed on the floor. He wasn't faking a foul or anything like that. At that moment, his heart had stopped beating, and if he didn't get help quickly, it would be the end of him. So, the other players screamed for help to come as fast as possible, while the entire stadium hoped for Eriksen to be better. Despite the efforts, Eriksen was unresponsive and had to be carried off the field on a stretcher. It was super scary. By then, everyone thought he had passed away, making this one of the saddest moments in football. But after almost 5 minutes of intense work by the medical team, a miracle happened. Eriksen's heart started beating again. The whole football world celebrated. And, of course, Eriksen's family too. And that's not even the most exciting part. After the near tragedy, Eriksen's dream was to get back on the field. Despite many recommendations for him to retire, he managed to make a comeback and return strong for the 2022 World Cup. The moment was so emotional that he was cheered by the entire stadium. Now tell me, how many likes does this warrior deserve? On this day, Messi cried like a child. Lionel Messi made his mark in history with countless goals and titles for every team he played for. But nothing compares to his years at Barcelona. There, he played alongside big names in football like Puyol, Iniesta, and even Ronaldinho Gaúcho. Honestly, Messi's relationship with Barcelona is more than just football. When he was just a little kid, his family found out about a disease that could end his career forever. That's when Barcelona offered not just a contract to Messi, but also to pay for his treatment. So, you can't really explain how grateful Messi is to this club and vice versa. But this beautiful story ended in a tragic way. In 2021, after almost 2 decades, the Argentines said goodbye to the Catalan team. And the reason? Simple. The club didn't have money. Messi even accepted a salary cut by more than half. But even then, Barcelona couldn't afford to register him for the competitions. So they had to part ways. Messi played over 800 games for the club, won 35 titles, and scored 672 goals, which is why he just couldn't hold back his tears and moved everyone with his final words for the club.
Llegué siendo muy chiquito, con 13 años. Después de 21 años, me voy con mi mujer, con 3 catalanes argentinos. No puedo estar más orgulloso de todo lo que hice y viví en esta ciudad, la cual no tengo duda que después de estar unos años afuera vamos a volver porque es nuestra casa.
But what happened to this goalkeeper will make you cry. During a match for Al Ittihad Alexandria, goalkeeper Ahmed Eya was harshly criticized by his fans after conceding 5 goals in a row. The saddest part is that he wasn't crying because of the insults, but for an even worse reason. A day before this match, his beloved brother had passed away, and he hadn't had time to recover. So, even though it was an important match, his performance was affected. Unfortunately, the fans didn't care about this and just booed the goalkeeper, who left the field in tears. The shock was so great for him that right after the match, he announced his retirement from football. How unfair. He sadly couldn't make a comeback. But that's not what happened with this player. What he did after scoring a goal moved an entire stadium. This is Alexander Sobolev, and his mother had passed away just a few days before. She was the most important person in his career, always supporting him during tough times and encouraging him to never give up on his dream of playing professionally. So, what Sobolev wanted the most was for her to be at this match. After all, no one would be happier about this goal than her. But unfortunately, that wasn't possible. And to honor her memory, Sobolev decided to celebrate this goal in a very special way. This moved the player so much that he couldn't hold back his emotions and needed help from his teammates. But what happens when a tragedy can be avoided? What happened to this player made the entire stadium cry. How he is today will shock you. This is Abdelak Nouri, and even though he was only 20 years old at the time, he was already one of the biggest names at Ajax. Seriously, just look at this kid's skill with the ball. It was clear to everyone that he had a great future ahead. For many, he was the next football star. But all of this was ruined in a horrible way. During a friendly match between Ajax and Werder Bremen, Nouri suddenly collapsed on the field. At first, no one thought much of it, but it quickly became clear that something was very wrong, and everyone rushed to get help. Unfortunately, it was already too late. Nouri suffered a cardiac arrest, which resulted in damage that not only ended his career, but also changed his life forever. Even though the doctors tried very hard, Nouri never fully recovered and ended up in a coma for nearly 3 years. When he finally woke up, the only thing he could do was move his eyes. But even though this was a huge reason to be happy, the truth is his life will never be the same again. But nothing compares to the day Ibrahimovic cried in front of his fans. Ibra collected countless trophies and made history at every club he played for. Who doesn't remember that amazing long-range goal for Sweden? Or that other fantastic goal in the MLS. Yeah, this guy is a true legend, and nothing seemed to shake him. So why did Ibrahimovic cry that day? The truth is, he played a crucial role in AC Milan's history. The Italian team, once a giant, had gone years without winning any championships. It wasn't until Ibrahimovic returned to the club that this changed. He ended his time with the club by being the key player in winning the 2022 Serie A title, which was a dream for the fans since they hadn't won the Italian league in 11 years. This made his journey with Milan go way beyond football. He truly came to love the players and the fans, as if they were his own family. But what moved him the most was the day they decided to return his love in an unbelievable way. It all happened after Milan's 3-1 victory over Hellas Verona. When Ibra least expected it, the entire team came together to pay tribute to him and honor his glorious time with the club. The whole moment was emotional, but the best part was when Ibra stepped onto the field and heard thousands of fans chanting his name. All this was done because Ibra was retiring, and Milan did it perfectly because that's how you say goodbye to a legend. This match was the end of one of the greatest legends in football. Pepe made his debut for the Portuguese national team in 2007 and has since proven why he's one of the best defenders in the world. In total, he had played over 141 matches for Portugal and scored 8 goals. But for him, his relationship with Portugal goes way beyond football. He truly loves this country, and that's why he fought so hard to win several titles, like the Euro Cup in 2016 and the Nations League in 2019. But the most emotional part of Pepe's entire career happened at the Euro Cup in 2024. Pepe had already made it clear that this would be his last tournament, and he wanted to win it at all costs. But despite trying his best, Portugal ended up being eliminated by France in penalties. And since this was his last match, Pepe was completely devastated and couldn't hold back his tears. Yeah, this match was tough for Pepe, but incredibly, what really got to him was what this journalist said.
Não sei qual vai ser a sua decisão, se vai continuar, se vai desistir, mas antes da sua decisão, deixe-me dar os parabéns e os portugueses quererão fazer isso também pela sua carreira fantástica nesta seleção nacional, pela sua longevidade fantástica com este símbolo ao peito. Pepe. Grande abraço.
I think this was the most emotional Euro Cup of all time because it wasn't Pepe's last match, but also Cristiano Ronaldo's, Modric's, and many other legends. Speaking of Cristiano, he was another one who shocked the world in this tournament. Just look at the state he was in after the penalty shootout. We will definitely never forget everything they did for football. But there was no farewell as emotional as this one. What happens when a legend dies? Even with Messi winning a World Cup, for many, Maradona is the greatest Argentine player of all time. And it's no wonder. The guy won everything he could with the national team, including a World Cup where he practically won it on his own. In Argentina, Maradona was practically a god, but unfortunately, he wasn't immortal. On January 25, 2020, the football world received news that left everyone in shock. That day, football lost one of its greatest players. Obviously, everyone felt compassion, but nothing compares to what happened in Argentina. The entire country went into mourning, and people took to the streets to pay their last respects to the idol. Everything was filled with Argentine national team jerseys, photos, and symbols of mourning. The saddest part is thinking that shortly after, the national team won the World Cup again, and the legend wasn't there to see it. Maradona passed away, and I hope that everywhere he is, he saw how grateful his people were for what he did in football. Now, this goal was one of the most emotional moments in football for a very sad reason. After this match, Turkey experienced one of the biggest earthquakes in history. In total, over 2,400 people lost their lives, 7,000 were seriously injured, and millions were left homeless. Among them was the player Christian Atsu. He had already had an excellent career with Chelsea and was now playing a season with Hatayspor. But what no one knew was that his journey would end so tragically. Several news outlets reported that he had been found alive and that despite his injuries, he would recover. But that wasn't the truth. Sadly, the player was missing for days. And when he was finally found, it was too late. That's why this goal is so emotional.
Ribeiro kaldı topun başında. İşaret geldi. Atsu kaleye doğru ve gol! Cristiano Atsu! 90+6. Son saniyeler, son anlar.
It wasn't just Christian Atsu's last goal, but also one of the last moments he was seen alive. What Neymar did for this girl will make you cry. Her name is Ariana dos Santos, and she loves playing football. So much so that she went on to the Steve TV show just to meet her favorite football player, Neymar Jr. Ariana is such a big fan of her idol that she can't talk about him without crying. And of course, everyone ended up crying with her. And she's in luck. Steve is a personal friend of Neymar, and together they prepared an unforgettable gift for her.
I know Neymar, so I told him that about you, and guess what? Look right there. Look at that TV screen right there.
Oi, Ariana. Tô aqui para te mandar um grande beijo, agradecer o carinho que você tem por mim e dizer uma coisa para você. Espero que você acredite no que você quer, que vá em busca dos seus sonhos, que corra atrás e não desista nunca. Porque só você sabe onde você pode chegar, tá? Um grande beijo, fica com Deus e dá um beijo nessa família. Tchau, tchau.
What a present! She was definitely very happy and left the show with her dreams fulfilled. Neymar even sent her a Brazilian national team jersey, so she would never forget this moment. But what the girl didn't know was that shortly after, Neymar would change her life forever. Thanks to her emotional appearance on the show, Ariana got the chance to meet Neymar in person, along with the entire Brazilian national team. And to top it all off, remember that jersey Ariana received? Well, before the meeting ended, all the players on the team made sure to sign it. No wonder she's so happy. She will never forget this day. But what happens when the emotion goes beyond limits and becomes disrespectful? Click on the video appearing on the screen right now and see the most disrespectful moments in football.